You see a coin pumping on your timeline. You weren't planning to trade today. You weren't even watching the market. But suddenly, your finger is on the buy button, and 10 minutes later, the coin reverses, and you're stuck holding the top. This is one of the most expensive emotions in trading. It's called FOMO, fear of missing out. Welcome back. This is episode 2 of our trading psychology series. Today, we're going to talk about the single emotion that probably costs traders more money than any other. Not fear, not greed, FOMO. Quick explanation. For anyone hearing this term for the first time, FOMO stands for FOMO, fear of missing out. It's not a trading-specific term. It's a feeling everyone has experienced in life, long before they ever opened a chart. It's the feeling you get when your friends are at a party you didn't go to. It's the feeling when a stock you almost bought 10 years ago is suddenly all over the news. It's that quiet voice in your head that says, everyone else is doing something exciting, and you're being left out. In trading, FOMO is exactly the same feeling applied to the market. The fear of missing out on a move that's already happening. Let's start with what FOMO actually is in the context of trading. FOMO is not a market signal. FOMO is a social signal. When you feel FOMO, you're not reacting to price. You're reacting to other people reacting to price. Think about that for a second. When a coin pumps 40% in a day, the price is already up. The opportunity is already mostly gone. But your brain doesn't see it that way. Your brain sees other people winning. It sees screenshots. It sees green candles. It sees Discord channels full of excited messages. And it screams at you, don't be the one left behind. Because for hundreds of thousands of years, being left behind meant something very real. It meant the tribe was eating without you. It meant you missed the migration. It meant survival was harder. Your ancestors who felt FOMO and acted on it, they passed on their genes. The ones who didn't, they often didn't survive. So FOMO is not a flaw. It's not a weakness. It's a deeply wired survival instinct. But here's the problem. In a financial market, that instinct is almost always wrong. Now let's talk about timing. FOMO doesn't just make you buy. It makes you buy at the worst possible moment. Because FOMO peaks when prices peak. Think about when you feel FOMO the most. Is it when a coin is quietly grinding sideways for 3 months? No. Is it when there's a slow, steady uptrend with low volume? No. You feel FOMO when something is parabolic. When everyone on Twitter is posting it. When new accounts are appearing just to talk about it. When normies who don't trade are suddenly asking you about it. That's the moment your FOMO is the strongest. And that's almost exactly the moment professional traders are starting to sell. This is not a coincidence. It's mathematics. A pump needs new buyers to continue. The more obvious the pump becomes, the more new buyers it pulls in, and the new buyers who get pulled in are exactly the people feeling the most FOMO. So FOMO buyers, by definition, arrive last. They are the exit liquidity. There's another layer to this that most people miss. Social media doesn't just amplify FOMO, it engineers it. Think about what an algorithm shows you. It shows you what gets engagement. Screenshots of huge wins get engagement. Posts about boring, disciplined, slow trading don't. So your feed becomes a distortion of reality. You see the winners. You don't see the thousands of losers who took the same trade and got blown up. You see the screenshot of someone who turned $500 into $50,000. You don't see the 10,000 traders who tried the same play and lost everything. Survivorship, bias plus algorithmic amplification. That's the recipe for chronic FOMO. And honestly, it's getting worse every year. Because the platforms get better at showing you the most emotional content. Not the most accurate content, the most emotional. And nothing is more emotional than a screenshot of someone making it overnight. There's also something most traders don't think about: the incentives of the people they're watching. When someone posts a huge win on social media, they're not doing it to inform you. They're doing it because it works. Wins get followers. Followers get attention. Attention gets sold. Some of those accounts are running courses. Some are running Discord groups. Some are paid promoters for tokens. Even the honest accounts have an incentive to post the dramatic day's day and stay quiet on the bad days. So the feed you're scrolling is a highlight reel. You're watching a curated version of trading that doesn't actually exist. The real version is much slower, much more boring, full of small losses and patient waiting. But nobody posts that, because boring doesn't get likes, and boring doesn't sell courses. So when you feel FOMO from a screenshot, pause and ask one question: why is this person posting this? Most of the time, the answer has nothing to do with helping you. Let me describe what FOMO actually feels like in the body. Because the more you can recognize the feeling, the more you can pause before acting on it. FOMO usually starts with a thought. Something like, I should be in this trade. Or, everyone is making money except me. Or, this is the move I've been waiting for. Then it becomes physical. Your heart rate goes up slightly. You feel a kind of restless urgency. Your fingers want to move. You feel a slight clenching in your chest. You might catch yourself holding your breath. This isn't analysis. This is your nervous system asking for action. And if you've trained yourself well, this is the exact moment you do nothing. You sit with the feeling. You let it pass, because once the urgency fades, you can see clearly again. But if you act in that moment, the trade is almost never your best work. There's a chemical reason behind all of this, and it's worth understanding. When you anticipate a reward, your brain releases dopamine, not when you get the reward. Before, the anticipation itself is the rush. This is why scrolling through pump screenshots feels so addictive. You're not actually making money. You're just imagining making money. And the imagination feels almost as good as the real thing. Then when you finally click buy, the dopamine spikes hard. For a few seconds, you feel certain, powerful, in control. That feeling is not analysis. That feeling is a drug. And the moment the price goes against you, the dopamine crashes. Now you feel desperate, anxious, wrong, so you check the chart every 30 seconds, looking for relief. This is exactly the same loop as a slot machine. The market becomes a dopamine machine, not a thinking machine. And the traders who learn to feel that loop and step outside it are the ones who survive. Because the goal of trading is not to feel something. The goal is to execute correctly. Now let's talk about how professionals handle this. Professional traders feel FOMO too. Make no mistake. They're human. The instinct is there. But they've trained themselves to react differently. The first thing they do is recognize it. They don't try to pretend the feeling isn't there. They name it. Okay, this is FOMO. Once you name an emotion, it loses some of its power. The The second thing they do is delay. They give themselves a rule. If a setup wasn't in your plan this morning, you're not taking it this afternoon. If you didn't notice this coin yesterday, you're probably late today. The market will give you another opportunity tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after that. The market is not a one-time door. It's a constant flow of chances. Professionals know that. Beginners think they have to catch every move. There's one combination that deserves its own warning. FOMO plus leverage. This is where accounts don't just lose. They blow up entirely. Because leverage takes a normal FOMO entry and makes it lethal. Picture this. A coin is pumping. You feel the urgency. You don't just buy spot. You open a 10x long or 25x or higher. Now your wrong entry isn't just a 5% loss. It's a 50% loss or 100% or liquidation. The same chase that would have cost you a small amount in spot wipes out the account in perps. And here's the cruel part. The reason you used high leverage was the same reason you felt FOMO in the first place. You wanted to catch up. You wanted to make back lost time. You wanted the size to match the size of the move you missed. That logic is emotional, not mathematical. In perps, position sizing is the entire game. If you're feeling FOMO, your size should be smaller than normal, not bigger. Most traders do the opposite. They feel emotional, so they size up. That's how good traders become liquidated traders in a single afternoon. There are 3 specific situations where FOMO destroys accounts the fastest. Let's go through them. Situation 1, the breakout chase. A coin breaks out of consolidation. You weren't watching it. By the time you notice, it's already up 8%. You buy. The market does what markets do. It retests the breakout. The retest takes price below your entry. You panic. You exit at a loss. Then the breakout actually plays out, and you watch it go. The setup wasn't wrong. Your entry was wrong. You chased. Situation 2. The narrative wave. A new narrative emerges. AI tokens, meme coins, whatever it is this cycle. Suddenly everything in that category is pumping. You don't know any of the tokens. You don't have a thesis. But you don't want to miss the wave. So you buy the loudest one, the one with the most volume, the most Twitter chatter. That's almost always the top. Narratives don't end when you finally notice them. They end shortly after. Situation 3. This time is different. Pump. A coin you ignored for months suddenly explodes. Your friend made money on it. Your timeline is full of it. The fundamental story sounds compelling now in a way it didn't before. But notice, the story only became compelling after the price moved, not before. This is your brain rationalizing the FOMO, building a thesis to justify what your emotions already decided. That's not analysis, that's narrative construction. So how do you train yourself out of this? I'll give you 3 practical things. 1. Decide what you'll trade. The night before, or the morning of, write down the setups you're looking for. If a setup isn't on your list, it doesn't exist for you that day. This sounds simple, but it's surprisingly powerful. It moves the decision from emotional to procedural. 2. Reduce social media exposure during trading hours. Most traders think they need to be informed. But informed is different from emotional. If your timeline is making your heart race, it's not informing you. It's manipulating you. Mute. Unfollow. Close the tab. Your edge does not come from watching everyone else. 3. Track your FOMO trades specifically. When you take a trade that wasn't planned, mark it in your journal. After 30 days, look at the data. Almost every trader who does this discovers the same thing. The FOMO trades are the worst trades. By a wide margin. Once you've seen the math with your own money, it gets easier to say no. There's also the after effect that most people never talk about. The post-FOMO regret cycle. You take the chase entry. The trade goes against you. You take a loss. Now you feel ashamed, stupid, frustrated with yourself. That feeling is dangerous in its own way, because the next emotion that comes after FOMO regret is usually revenge trading. You try to make it back by taking another emotional trade, and that trade is usually worse than the first one. This is how a single FOMO entry turns into a full account drawdown. Not because the original loss was that big, but because of what you did after. So if you ever do get caught in a FOMO trade and you take the loss, stop trading for the day. That's the rule. Close the laptop. Walk away. Go for a walk. The market will be there tomorrow, but your account might not be if you keep clicking that buy button while you're emotional. There's also a flip side to all of this. A frame I want to mention briefly. It's called JOMO, the joy of missing out. JOMO is what professional traders feel. They see a parabolic pump, they didn't catch it. And instead of feeling regret, they feel relief, because they know the math. Most of those pumps reverse. Most of those late buyers get trapped. The discipline of not chasing is itself the edge. Saying no to a bad setup is just as valuable as saying yes to a good one. Sometimes more valuable. When you start to feel jam instead of FOMO, you'll know your psychology is starting to mature. There's one more thing I want to mention. FOMO isn't just about entries. It shows up in choosing strategies, in choosing which traders to follow, in choosing which assets to focus on. Every time you abandon what was working because someone else's thing looks better, that's FOMO. Strategy hopping is FOMO. Constantly switching exchanges is FOMO. Buying every new launch is FOMO. Real edge comes from doing one thing patiently long enough for it to compound, not from chasing every shiny object. And honestly, that's much harder than people admit, because doing one thing for years is boring. And FOMO offers the opposite of boring. So to summarize today's episode, FOMO is not a flaw. It's an ancient survival instinct. But in markets, it leads you to the worst entries, at the worst times, in the worst setups. It's social pressure dressed up as opportunity. The professional response is not to suppress it. It's to recognize it, name it, and let it pass. You catch the next setup, you don't chase this one. And we talked about the 3 biggest FOMO traps and 3 practical ways to train yourself out of them. Most of trading psychology is the same lesson in different forms. Slow down. Recognize the emotion. Don't let it drive. In the next episode, we're going to talk about revenge trading. What happens after a loss? Why traders double down to win it back? And why that's almost always the moment they blow up the account. Appreciate you all for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe and share it with someone who keeps chasing pumps. And I'll see you guys in episode 3. Start trading now on Mosey Finance. Trade perps everywhere with one dashboard. Link in bio.